The quarantine bay of Station Helios, 9 hummed with sterile efficiency, its walls gleaming under harsh white lights. Celera pressed her palm against the transparent barrier, watching the small creature huddled in the corner of the containment cell. The cub was no larger than her forearm, covered in midnight blue fur that shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, swirls and dots that pulsed gently with each frightened breath. Specimen 4471, R, the station AI announced. Juvenile Nixari. Estimated age, 6 cycles. Status, orphaned. Origin, Nix Prime, Sector 9. Cleared for immediate disposal per Galactic Concordat Article 47, Subsection 12. Solara's jaw tightened. She had read the reports. Nix Prime had been glassed 3 weeks ago during the Terran-Carwell conflict. Collateral damage, they called it. The Nixari were an unaligned species, caught between 2 warring powers. Their world had paid the price. Delay disposal protocol, Celera said quietly. Engineer Celera Chun, you lack authorization to override code. Chin 77 Alpha. Personal exemption under Human Auxiliary Protocol. The AI paused, processing. The Galactic Concordat had learned, over humanity's brief but explosive entry into the interstellar community, that humans had certain peculiarities. One such peculiarity was their inexplicable attachment to what the Concordat termed non-sentient biological entities. The protocol had been added after the Beetlejuice incident, where a human crew had mutinied rather than abandon a ship full of rescued alien fauna. Exemption granted. You have 72 hours. Celera exhaled slowly and deactivated the barrier's opacity. The cub, Rin, according to the sparse data recovered from the wreckage, flinched at the sudden exposure. Large, opalescent eyes stared at her with a mixture of terror and exhaustion. Hey there, Celera whispered, lowering herself to sit cross-legged before the cell. I'm not going to hurt you. The universal translator on her collar clicked uselessly. The Nixari language had died with their world. But Celera had spent 2 years in the outer colonies, working with xenobiologists. She had learned that fear was universal, and so was kindness. She reached into her utility belt and pulled out a ration bar, the sweet kind she kept for long engineering shifts. Slowly, deliberately, she broke off a piece and placed it on the floor just inside the barrier. Rin's nose twitched. The bioluminescent patterns on the cub's fur flickered, shifting from a fearful blue to a cautious yellow-green. For an hour, Celera sat there. She didn't move, didn't speak, just existed, a quiet presence in the cub's world of loss and terror. Finally, Rin crept forward on delicate paws, each step hesitant. The cub sniffed the offered food, then looked up at Celera with those impossibly large eyes. It's okay, Celera murmured. Take it. Rin ate. Over the next 3 days, Celera returned between her shifts, each visit longer than the last. She spoke to Rin about everything and nothing, about the stars visible from the observation deck, about the coffee machine in the break room that somehow managed to make liquid regret, about her brother back on Earth who had a collection of ancient cat videos. They're probably your distant cousins, she said with a soft laugh, showing Rin a holographic image of a tabby cat batting at a piece of string. Rin's ears perked up, patterns shifting to a curious orange. The station's xenobiologist, a THRYN named Kvalix, had been horrified by Solara's actions. The creature cannot survive without its pack structure, Kvalix had insisted, their chitinous mandibles clicking in agitation. You are prolonging its suffering. Or maybe I'm giving it a chance, Celera had replied. But she knew Kvalix was right. The regulations were clear. No unaligned species could be granted asylum without a sponsor world. And Nix Prime was ashed out on the final day. Celera entered the quarantine bay to find Rin pressed against the barrier, waiting for her. The cub's patterns had stabilized to a soft amber, not happiness, exactly, but no longer the dark blue of despair. Celera sat down and opened the barrier. Kvalix's voice crackled over the calm. Engineer Chun, that is a severe protocol violation. I know, Celera said, muting the channel. Rin hesitated, then stepped out of the cell for the first time in days. The cub approached slowly, sniffing at Solara's outstretched hand. Then, in a moment that would haunt Celera for the rest of her life, Rin did something impossible. The cub's throat vibrated, and a sound emerged, rough, unpracticed, but unmistakable. words shaped by vocal cords not meant for human speech, forced through sheer desperate will. Let me stay. Solara's breath caught. The Nixari weren't supposed to be capable of mimicking complex vocalizations. They weren't supposed to learn languages outside their own. But here was this small, broken creature, begging in a tongue it should not have been able to speak. Celera felt her chest tighten. I can't. I don't have the authority. I'm sorry. I'm so. The world tilted. Celera tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't respond. The quarantine base spun around her, lights blurring into streaks. She heard alarms, felt herself falling, felt Rin's small body pressing against her side. When she opened her eyes, she was in the medical wing, staring at the sterile white ceiling. Dr. Yavish, a Centaurian physician with too many eyes, loomed over her. Radiation poisoning, Yavish said flatly. The conduit you repaired in Sector 12 yesterday was leaking beta particles. You received a near-lethal dose. Solara's mind was foggy. The cub, where's the Nixari juvenile, is in temporary custody. Yavish's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. You have been unconscious for 16 hours. The Galactic Concordat has extended your exemption period pending your recovery. What? Celera croaked. Yavish made a sound that might have been a sigh. Because the creature refused to leave your side during extraction. It attacked 3 security officers and a medical drone. We had to sedate it. A pause. Humans and their pack-bonding instincts. It is infectious, apparently. Through the observation window, Celera could see Rin curled up on a medical bed, tiny chest rising and falling with sleep. The patterns on the cub's fur were a deep, worried purple. There is a development, Yavish continued. Your case has attracted attention. The human delegation on Concordat Prime has filed a motion to classify the Nixari as sentient beings under the Refugee Protection Act. The evidence being submitted includes vocal recordings. Celera closed her eyes. Let me stay. Precisely. What are the chances? Unknown. But you have caused quite the disruption. If a Centaurian could smile, Yavish might have been smiling. Very human of you. 3 months later, Celera stood before the Concordat Council, Rin perched on her shoulder. The cub had grown, patterns now a confident gold, and had learned 17 words in Standard Common. The vote was close. But humanity had allies, species who remembered when they, too, had been refugees in the cold dark of space. Species who had been given second chances. When the gavel fell, granting the Nixari remnant sanctuary under human protection, Rin nuzzled against Solara's cheek. Home, the cub whispered. Home, Celera agreed. And in that moment, the galaxy learned once again what it meant when humans decided something was worth saving.